For this project, I sand cast a mini flail weapon. This was my first project using sand casting, so I made the object I wanted out of foam, and molten metal is going to take the place of this foam. In order to melt down pop cans, I made a homemade foundry. The crucible is made from the bottom of a fire extinguisher, and I'm just using charcoal briquettes for the fuel. I lit the charcoal and then used a hairdryer to pump air into the foundry, which increases the temperature greatly. The PVC started to melt, but this was actually because I accidentally put the hairdryer on hot, not from the heat of the foundry. After about 25 or 30 minutes, it was hot enough to melt down pop cans. I buried my mold in a bucket of sand with the extra piece of styrofoam sticking above the surface, that way the molten metal will travel down into the mold. You might notice that by this time the lid of my foundry had crumbled, so next time I'll make it a little thicker. So on my first attempt, I got this lovely shape. I think that the path down to the mold wasn't big enough, and then the metal may not have been hot enough.
Yeah.
For take two, I made a bigger design with more area for the metal to flow down into it.
Sweet.
After doing the same process over again, this one works, but as you can see here, it looks a little bit like a Christmas ornament, and I decided it was a little too big for what I was going for. I decided to try the smaller design again, but I remade the mold to make it a little easier to cast. I buried this mold in sand just like before, and by this time I'd figured out the right ratio of sand to water. And now to see if it worked. So with this third cast, I was finally happy with how it turned out. It looks like something an orc would use. I cut the base part off and then drilled 2 holes so I could attach the chain with a half length that I'd cut. I just used epoxy to secure that. For a mini handle, I just cut a length of dowel rod and I attached the other end of the chain to it with a paper clip. I added some leather strips to the handle to give it a more finished look, and with that, my mini flail mace was complete.